Hello, loves. How are you? Today, I keep being guided to go into a shared heart space support message. Before I pull cards, I just want to share a little bit about what's been coming through. There's this energy of kind of knowing there's something in the heart space that's needing to be looked at, uncovered, opened up. And there's also like this energy of some sort of like avoidance or like it doesn't feel like a lot of resistance, but it does feel like an energy of avoidance that I'm sensing in the energetics. And what I mean by that is it feels like there's a lot of distractions coming up. But what it feels like to me as I say that is actually the old distractions are clearing out. And so what's kind of coming through is like where we kept ourselves busy in the past or distracted. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? That we were busy or focused on things. But if you are finding that the things that you were doing or that you normally do are either not working or are not available, it is because you are being called to just be present and allow an open space to allow whatever's meant to come forth, because it feels like there's actually some new things that are wanting to be birthed from the heart space. We kind of touched on this in yesterday's message, right? Where there's some opening, almost like that inner union, inner child, um, inner alchemical marriage energy that's wanting to open up. And this is important and powerful because as those energies activate and open within us, right? It's like activating our internal true core soul essence and blueprint, which is a piece that aligns you with your highest timeline and your highest potential, which will support you in your ability to manifest, magnetize, and experience what is actually meant for you in your life. Okay, so it feels important that sometimes like there's this kind of avoidance away from going deeper into the heart space, but what's coming through is actually kind of diving through and thawing out whatever is there and present, because underneath it is all this gorgeousness. Okay. That's what's coming through as I'm speaking. So I feel like one, I want to get some support messages for this, but then we're also going to dive into like the day to day, physical world reality of working on these. So right now we're going to first go into the heart space, and then we're going to support that with some, like I said, day to day messages, like how you can work with it and be present in your physical body and your physical life. Oh, that was stuck together. Huh. Wow. Okay. So it was Vanishing Mirror and Horseman Herald of Change. And literally, I'm not kidding, they were stuck together. So we're talking about something being stuck, right? Or wanting to move in the heart space. And what's coming through is that this shift and this change is inevitable. Some of you may be sensing almost like a still point or uncertain about what to do. And what's coming through is like, just be present with whatever is, because this change that is occurring is inevitable. We can't force it and we can't stop it. It just is. Sort of like that energy of divine timing and divine order, divine alignment. And what's coming through is that this is what is beginning to take place right now in the collective. Okay, so if you've been working and working and doing your thing, and then you're kind of like wondering what's going to happen, is it feels to me like we've reached this center point. But I know we've reached this in multiple ways, but it's like we've reached this center point to me, this feels like very physical world center point. Okay. And this is, yes, for the divine counterpart, twin flame collective. So it's reaching this point that, so I'm going to share this for the majority of how it comes through, but of course, apply the energies as they make sense for you internally and externally. But it's like the feminines and masculines each had their role. Okay. And the masculines were holding space in the old energies so that the feminines could go through their transformation. The feminines, as an overall collective, have stabilized enough in the new energy that what's happening is sort of like feeling like another sort of type of tower moment, which makes sense when you think about the emotions that we've been talking about on the channel with these like roller coaster of emotions. And what I'm sensing is it's not necessarily that those of you who have gone through your huge tower moments already are going through another one. What I believe may be happening and what's coming through is that you're actually feeling the tower moment within your connection that's allowing the old patterns to break up. Okay. So, where the divine masculine collective was holding the space and the old patterns, so divine feminine collective would know what to unravel and clear out of, no longer has to be held in place by the masculine collective. So it's creating a tower moment within the energies, within the shared space. And what's happening is that what's coming through, from my understanding, okay, this is how I'm sharing it. Take what resonates, of course, is it's coming through is that, so what we're feeling and sensing in these energies, these roller coaster energies, is where this is breaking up. And the fact that the cards were actually literally sticking together, it's like this is where we're allowing the stickiness to clear out, allowing the old membrane to dissolve so we can actually fully embody into where we are now, which is ultimately going to allow, oh my gosh, this feels so good. It's like this heraldman horse, this herald of change, this horseman herald of change is like going to bust through this. So this is actually allowing the space and the time for the sacred masculine collective to actually literally go through their tower moment. And what's happening is it's allowing the old patterns to shatter for them. And now they're going through their time of unraveling and clearing out of the distortion and delusion that they were still holding up and that the feminines just came out of. And this, in many cases, was, from my understanding, this was how it was supposed to be because they were holding space. The collectives have been holding space for one another, because if we all dropped at once into a tower moment, we would have chaos. But by holding these like a step ladder, we're holding space for each other as collectives so that it is the most stable, gentle way that we can do this for ourselves and for the planet, in my understanding. So no one was doing anything wrong. We were all doing exactly as what we were called to do at the soul level. And as you're feeling these, no, yes, you are working in your own internal energies and you're clearing up more of what's left in your system with the old patterns. And it's allowing on a larger scale for the masculine collectives to also break through on their end and come forward and into their embodiment and their power in their life, which ultimately is exactly what the collective is wanting, right? Allowing the space for all of us to step into our true sovereignty and power. I love that this is coming through. So what we can do as a collective, whether you're masculine or feminine, notice where you may be feeling any stickiness and allow yourself to break through it, allow yourself to come forth into more and more of your true power and essence. Now, I'm going to get the light seer and we're going to go into some deeper messages around what we can do in the physical day-to-day life um, that may be helpful with this, these bits, these last bits. And yes, okay, we're in this process, and many of you might be saying, I've been doing this for so long. We are literally ascending on a planet that has been stuck in duality and in this consciousness for thousands of years. So, yes, it is a process, and a few years may turn into a few more years, but you are growing and building your muscle along all along. We're not operating in the same old energies that we were before. And why would we want to? Because those were being played at the surface level. And that's why things were not really getting rooted and grounded and embodied into. This work of embodiment does take time. It does take space and grace. And it does take a building of the muscle. And one of the most important muscles that you can build is patience in the present and allowing yourself and the collective and everyone else on this planet the space and grace to go through their own process. Okay. Those of you that are doing this and you're a bit ahead of the overall collective curve, it's going to feel a little bit different for you. And there's not necessarily going to be a lot of people around you who are going to understand where you are, or they're not going to really be able to relate to where you are and what you're doing in a lot of cases at this time. I do not think it's going to stay like this forever, but as you are a visionary and a pioneer in the ascension process, yes, this is like where we are learning that it's okay to be in this process. And this is where we are strengthening into being present and available for whatever is, which ultimately supports us in moving into our ability to sustain and maintain what is for our highest good. Okay, let's see what we got. What can we work on in this physical? And I know we've talked about the playing, right? So what, maybe some of it is literally learning how to play more. Maybe our work is to ask, what do I do to drop into my joy and my fun and my playfulness? All right. What I did is I separated the vanishing mirror and the horseman of change. And I'm going to pick 3 cards in the middle to see what comes through for us. What do we got? What do we got? Ooh, okay. Wow. All right. You saw that fly out. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna read what's on the table. That was crazy. So near the vanishing mirror, I picked the 9 of Pentacles. And to me, this is saying this is why this old energy and these old limitations and the old reflective mirror are able to start to vanish and clear out because you have planted the seeds, learned what you've needed to learn, or you're in the process. And as you work this process, this is what allows the old mirror to vanish, right? As I spoke about in my Divine Feminine Surrender video, as the Sacred Feminine Collective embodies the lessons that she's needed, she's dropped into unconditional love, and she no longer needs to participate in the karmic patterns. This signals to the Sacred Masculine that he can now unravel and dissolve out of his karmic patterns because he doesn't have to hold that mirror for the feminine any longer. Okay, loves. So as you free yourself, you free the shared heart space, and this allows your masculine to start to move forward. So the fact that this Knight of Swords that came out twice yesterday in yesterday's reading with the masculines flew out across the table and landed on the horseman, right? These are both very like active, forward moving, fast moving physical world shift. And the fact that it flew out in the reverse is speaking to me about this process of flipping this mirror, that they are being freed from the old energies of running away. They're being freed from where things were stuck, and they are being freed into their change and being able to move forward swiftly into what is meant for them. Okay. Which ultimately also supports the feminines moving into what is meant for them. Okay. All right. Let's see. There's one more. I want to see what wants to come through. This Page of Pentacles. Let's see. This to me is feeling like coming up out of this mirror, so to speak. And you see, it's like as we dissolve out, and these things take time. As we're dissolving out, it takes time, days, weeks, months, but it is occurring. It's through this process that the embodiment happens. So as the old mirror dissolves and we get more and more grounded into the new ways of being without the karmic codependent patterns in place, right? All like what I'm sensing is like all this newness, this new shared heart space. This package to me is speaking about that original core soul blueprint, the codes and the keys that are in your true original core heart space. They've always been inside of you, right? And as you feel safe and strong to come out more fully in the present, in your own essence, because like I said yesterday, you're protecting yourself, but you're dissolving the protective mechanisms that are keeping love out, right? So as you're dissolving those internal protective mechanisms, that's what's coming through. If you're not ready to open up out into the world in all of those ways, that's okay. You start by allowing yourself to dissolve those internal defense mechanisms for yourself in your internal shared heart space within where your inner heart chambers all meet together. Okay. Your masculine, your feminine, your inner child, your higher self, your human self. The heart space is the space where everything intersects. Okay. This is why we're harmonious hearts, loves. This is the deep core work that allows us to embody all of who we are. And I say work, right? But we're moving into being the work has been to reparent and strengthen ourselves into true protection so that we feel safe to allow our inner child energy to feel safe to come back out. And I saw this energy and essence of our inner child is all of who your true soul is, a part of all of who your true soul is. Okay. It's an important piece. It's who you were born as a soul before all of the programming, before all of the suppression and inversion was telling you to stop being who you were. All of the things that taught you to ignore your natural nature. Your inner child is your natural nature. And if that doesn't resonate, maybe it's not because something's wrong. Maybe it's because you're already just naturally doing it. It all really depends. Only you can know, right? But the bottom line is there's something in this package that I want to get a message about. And I'm being guided to go to the True Love deck for this. There we go. We got Sacred Woman. This is very fascinating because there was also one final card on the table left from that shaman deck that I did not know was there, and it's called Closing Door Completion. And what message this is bringing through for me is that there is an old cycle, an old circle, an old energy that is coming to completion. And as one door closes, another door opens, right? It's like as these limitations complete out, it's going to open up the space for this new energy to come through. Wow. Okay. So I have to sit with this. There's something here. What is this sacred woman and this completion wanting to share with us? What I'm coming through is there's something about the struggle that's ready to be released. Okay? And when we drop in true, genuine, healthy boundaries and true love into our system, that becomes the natural protection of your natural nature, right? So when that occurs, these defense mechanisms or the old patterns around how we presented have space to start to dissolve out. And so there's something very deep happening. There's this energy that's wanting to come through to be willing to let go of everything that was, right? Let go of what it was so it can become what it is now. Allow yourself to just release the attachments to whatever you think it might be and open up to what is truly meant for you. Because the people, places, things, and energies that are meant for you are going to find you. And as we release any attachments to what we thought it was or what we thought it was supposed to be, it actually makes space for it to rise up and to complete out the old pattern, allows what's meant and always was meant to be. It gives it the space to come forward. You see why it's so important to let the old patterns go? The old visions you've had of yourself, the old versions of yourself, the old versions of your counterpart, allowing those to dissolve out and hold space for the true core soul essence and frequency and blueprint to come forward. But if we're always only holding on to the old stories, it kind of locks those into place and the new ones do not have space to come forward. But I also want to say, like I said, this change is inevitable. It's happening. So for those of you who are allowing the new stories to come in and letting the old ones dissolve away, this change is going to be much more gentle for you. For those that might have been holding on to the old stories or ways of being, this might be a little bit more uncomfortable. But those of you who went through this, you remember what it was like getting catapulted out of the old energy. It was kind of intense and sticky and messy for a little bit, right? Until you got your sea legs in the new energy. So I believe what we're feeling is where the next wave is going through this, and it appears to be that the masculine collective is being catapulted into these next levels and layers of transformation, and it is being divinely orchestrated. We've just reached a point in the collective where it's time, okay? The trumpet is being sounded, the change is in order, it's in process. We are evolving as a species, we are evolving as a collective. And really, at the end of the day, those of us that keep growing and keep going are helping to pave that pathway for those that might not be aware of the evolution or ascension process. And we don't have to worry about that or figure it out. That's the beauty of it. All you have to do is focus on what's in front of you and what you're being called to do, my loves. Drop back into your heart space. Breathe into your heart, chant into your heart, and just set the intention as guided to align with your highest potential. All right, loves, you're doing beautiful. I hope this was supportive and helpful, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, loves. Bye.